Hello?
What's your least favorite scary movie?
Your ass stinks.
Yeah.
Welcome to What's Your Least Favorite Scary Movie, the podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the absurd, and all of our favorite
And least favorite.
scary movies.
Because we believe every horror movie rightfully has its fan base.
Even if we don't always get it.
My name's Travis.
My name's Jessie.
And welcome, everybody.
It's Pride Month!
Yeah, another themed month coming right at you, folks. We are covering
Movies
themed
that,
movies.
yes, movies that in some way, shape, or form have a connection to like LGBTQ interests, cast crew members, themes, subtext, things like that. We've done this for the past few years, and part of what we do for Pride Month is that all of our profits from the Patreon will be donated to the Trevor Project at the end of the month. The Trevor Project is a suicide hotline for LGBTQ youth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really great organization. So take a look at that if you want to be a little bit more informed about the services they offer. And if you want to become a patron, even if it's just for this month, that money will go to the Trevor Project at the end of the month. And you will also be able to listen to like all of our back catalog of bonus episodes.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can also just any like episode or Patreon purchase you make throughout June.
Yeah.
All of that goes towards that too. Anything earned throughout June goes towards this.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All of it will go to that.
It's a
our
donation
link-
for a good cause, and you get content.
Yeah. The link to our Patreon is at the very bottom of our show notes on whatever platform you're listening on. It should be a link that just takes you right to it. If for some reason it's not working, you can go to the link tree in our bio on any of our social media, and it will take you to our Patreon as well.
Yeah.
So but we have a good time. If you're a budget tier, you get like extra perks like stickers and voting rights, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
Stickers, episodes, voting,
Yeah.
voting rights. It's pay to play in this. This. What do we call this?
I don't know. I made a fascism joke last night that you said was not well received, so I'm not going to do
I said it was dangerous. It's a dangerous line of thinking. Okay,
I'm very much anti-fascist, for the record, which is why I thought the joke would be extra absurd. And Travis was like, "We're in public. You can't say stuff like that around people that don't know you."
It's true.
Which is probably also true for the podcast.
The couple at the table next to us got real quiet. Yeah. Oh,
Fuck
man.
fascists.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Look, I think that we were very clear that we were saying that. We were also loudly debating our poll for last week's movie, which was it was a weird conversation over here if you were in a restaurant next to us. But
It was a really quiet restaurant too, because we were there before the restaurant opened, because we didn't realize what time it was. So there were problems all around.
Yeah. So the poll, we talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation last week, and as many of you know, that was one of Matthew McConaughey's very first. Actually, I think it was his very first film role. So.
Are we talking about release or?
It is, I think it was introducing. Maybe not. I could be entirely wrong. I thought, but I could be incorrect. Either way, he's in that movie. And we were like, hey, what if we put Vilmer in another one of them, like Matthew McConaughey's movies? Swap the roles. So we have 4 movies that we could potentially put Vilmer in. And you all did the voting for it. So here we are.
What were our options?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Dazed and Confused, True Detective, and Tropic Thunder.
To be clear, we understand True Detective is a show, not a movie.
Well, I put in the poll movie/show.
Okay.
So we're correct.
Okay. You said film right now, so that's why I wanted to be clear.
So here are the results. 22% would put Vilmer in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I would watch that.
Absolutely.
22% put him in Dazed and Confused. I would watch that. 11% True Detective.
Okay.
44% Tropic Thunder.
Now, here's the thing. Is I know last night I said my vote was How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but I've been meditating on it. And can you imagine Filmer flying through the jungle? I got your TiVo!
Tugger, I got your TiVo. Actually, I thought about this real long and hard, unnecessarily so. And I was like, Vilmer would thrive in Tropic Thunder.
He would.
He would go out there and the end of the movie of Tropic Thunder, Matthew McConaughey is out there in the jungle with the fucking like drug cartel army, whatever. He could fucking hold his own out there. Vilmer would he's needed, in fact, in Tropic Thunder. Ben Stiller needs him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I'm glad that one won, because I feel like that's like, correct answer.
You almost didn't even want to put that as one of the options.
I know, and I'm happy to be proved wrong, honestly, in this situation, because that's one of my favorite Matthew McConaughey roles right there. All right, so that was it for the poll. Did you announce anything? Did we skip that?
I didn't announce anything, but I am going to go ahead and talk about one of the like LGBTQ topics, because this is also something that I do a little bit of each year.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about fucking pronouns. Because pronouns, it's just words. It's easy. Somebody says, I use this pronoun, and you use that pronoun. It's that simple. When you have the option to put it in your like social media bios, email signatures, things like that, as a cis person, what it does is it helps normalize it for trans people. And I'm also going to say to the people that get really offended about that, step away from your transphobia and bigotry for a second and think about it for people like, say, me, who have a name that on paper, Jesse. Oh, wow. Could go either way, right?
Yeah.
That also just kind of helps clear up some confusion, so I don't get an email that says, good afternoon, sir, which did happen before I put my pronouns in my email signatures. It's just a thing that you can do to kind of be an ally and help normalize something like that. And it also does just like, it can make your life easier as a cis person as well. But what it really does is it helps our trans friends and our non-binary friends be able to do that safely without feeling like they're necessarily like outing themselves 100%, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, I want to talk about they, them for a singular person. And I feel like I have a little bit of ground to talk on about this because my mom was an English major and she had me while she was in college and I went to classes with her. So I feel like I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I remember one time as a small child, we were talking about a person. I didn't know if the person was a man or a woman. My mom said, I don't know if that person's a man or a woman either. It was like somebody on the phone or something. And we were trying to figure out how to talk about this phone conversation we were overhearing. And she referred to the person as they. She was like, I don't know if that's a man or a woman. It's perfectly acceptable in the situation to use they in an unknown setting. It's grammatically acceptable. So if a non-binary person also uses the pronouns they, them, it is still grammatically viable. Like, I don't like that argument that people make either. Like, it's really fucking simple to just use the words that people ask you to use.
Yeah.
It's respect. It's just being a decent human being.
So you can
do it.
Yeah, be respectful, people. That's the moral of the story. Just respect people's pronouns. Respect people as people. That's all we're asking.
And I'm not telling you have to put pronouns in your bio. Obviously, we don't have that in our bio because it's like both of us. So but neither of us uses they pronouns is the thing. Like, so that adds to confusion. So we could do he, his, she, her, but then that's also good. Like, it's just confusing. So that's why we don't have it in like our podcast accounts.
We're a podcast. We're not a person.
Yeah.
That's the answer to that. Look, we get it.
Yeah.
So be kind. Be kind to people. Be good people.
Yeah. Just be a decent human being.
Yeah.
Be a bro, be a sis, be a pal.
And this plays very much into today's movie.
Yes.
Return to Sleepaway Camp, which is what we're going to be talking about on the podcast today. So I am ready for that. Are you ready for that? Jessie just raised her mug up, so that is a yes.
I'm ready. Sorry, I had a mouthful of coffee and you asked me a question. It was like being at the dentist's office. I was panicking. How do I react to the situation?
All right. So Return to Sleepaway Camp. By the way, yes, we have all other 3 Sleepaway Camp movies covered, so this is the final one.
This is the final one.
Yes. We're closing out this chapter on the podcast. So this movie released November 4th, 2008 on DVD. We did not get a theatrical release for this movie. If you want to watch it, you got to pray to God that you find a DVD somewhere, because that's really the only way you're going to be able to watch this thing. Had somebody ask how we watched it, I'll tell you how we watched it. I went online and I bought a DVD on a website.
It was Etsy, right?
It was on Etsy, yes.
Yeah, so, and this was it a birthday gift for me? You got me this DVD in good faith.
Yeah.
You ordered it from what looked like a verified seller on Etsy, and it was delivered to you without a case, and you were like, that's fine, I'll go get a cheap Blu-ray and I will make a cover for it. And that cover is very special to me and I love it. But also, when we looked at the DVD, the label for it, you know how normally there's artwork on a Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, you know, the front of it. It was clearly a home printed label.
Yeah.
And so Travis got tricked, basically. Not through any fault of his own. He thought he was going through all the channels to get me a legit copy of Return to Sleepaway Camp, but that's how we came to own this movie.
Yeah, I'll post pictures of the thing, the cover and all that we got, and the picture of the disc, just so you know. I'm not happy with how the cover looks today.
I love it.
But it's just it's that little piece of art that reminds you where you were and how you've progressed. So
Well, it's a little piece of art that makes me think that at least at one time you loved me enough to do it.
I will get into information on a legal way to get that DVD, which I think is still like a way to get it, but we'll get into that here in a little bit when we get into some information. Written by Robert Hiltzik, directed by Robert Hiltzik, music by Rodney Wittenberg, special effects makeup by Ed French and Brian Spears.
Ed French, that name sounds familiar.
That's the dude that did Blood Rage and shit. I can't remember which movie we talked about.
It was another one we just talked about recently, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Dead Dudes in the House.
That sounds probably about
It's
right.
another bad bad movie, something like that.
Speaking of Dead Dudes in the House, we also watched No Hard Feelings, and the dad of the Gen Z party.
That super aggro dude. Yeah, from that movie, yeah. And it's one of those ones where like, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
It's less intimidating.
I can't unsee it.
Yeah, less intimidating in that movie because
Because he doesn't have weaponry.
he doesn't have the bandana. I think that's a big part of it.
The bandana is where his power is.
I think so. That's where it lies. Starring Michael Gibney as Alan, Vincent Pastor as Frank, Paul D'Angelo returning as Ronnie, Isaac Hayes as Charlie, and Felissa Rose returning as Angela Baker, and, spoiler, Sheriff Jerry.
Yeah.
All right, time for our favorite game on the show, Budget or Bugted.
Ooh, I'm going to go hard Bugted.
Okay. It's a pretty decent Bugted. It is Bugted. It's $4 million to make this.
You know what? Good for them.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, were you about to say where it went?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I think I have an answer to that. So I don't have opening box office or worldwide gross because this went straight to DVD.
Yeah.
But the IMDb is 4.1.
Honestly? Okay.
You think that's okay? 4.1?
Yeah. It's higher than what I've expected it to be.
Okay. I guess that's fair. So I have 3 movies from 2008. I feel very fitting theme for these 3 movies. It's Teenagers Are Mean.
I endorse that theme.
I know that you're a big supporter of that one right there. I think a lot of people would agree. Teenagers are scary. So let's start off with some of the scariest teenagers that we've ever seen. Eden Lake, first movie.
No.
Yeah, that's a traumatizing movie. I think Jesse refuses to ever watch that one again.
Yeah, I won't watch it again. And my mom, who's a listener of the show, has yet to listen to that episode because she only listens to the episodes of movies she's seen. And she's scared to watch the movie by herself because of how I always react when I talk about it.
Is this generational trauma? She passed down the fear of teenagers onto you.
I don't know. I feel like I got my fear of teenagers from a very healthy place.
From a very healthy place?
Yeah. Teenagers are scary. I've experienced that.
That doesn't sound healthy to experience bullying from teenagers, but okay. All right, Eden Lake came out September 12th, 2008. Don't have budget, but it grossed $4 million, so as much as this movie we're talking about costs.
Okay.
IMDb 6.7.
Okay.
Movie number 2, Prom Night.
Prom Night.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is the remake.
Yeah. And, of course, bullying teenagers and prom competition and, you know the drill. It's teenagers killing each other. That's the ultimate mean teenager. So that released April 11th, 2008. Budget of $20 million. Worldwide gross $57 million. IMDb 4 out of 10.
I know we've watched that at least once together, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I don't remember much either, actually. I think I've only seen that one time. That'd be about it, yeah. Which, if you stick around on the podcast for a couple more years, you might hear us talk about that one. All
We'll
right.
get there eventually.
Final movie, Let the Right One In. That's one that I haven't seen. I don't think you've seen either.
No, is that the one that's like the vampire movie and she like drowns his bullies?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about a kid. I think I read like a synopsis. A 12-year-old kid is being bullied by a bunch of kids, and then this vampire girl comes in to step in and take care of his bully problem.
Okay.
So that released December 12th, 2008. $4 million budget, so very comparable.
Okay.
$11 million gross, 7.8 IMDb.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about that
Yeah,
movie.
I've heard it's a really good movie.
Yeah, we should watch it sometime. Maybe if we're feeling like dealing with asshole teenagers again. It's rare that I'm ever in the mood for that, but you know, I'll never say never. All right, I've got one tagline.
Only one?
Kids can be so mean. And it's so fitting. It's so
very
so
accurate,
true.
actually.
That's it for that. I've got a surprising amount of information for this movie.
Really?
I didn't expect to be able to find anything.
Yeah, I thought you would struggle.
I thought I would too, but no, I got some stuff here. So, okay, let's start off with this. So technically, this is the 5th film in the Sleepaway Camp franchise. I don't know how many of you are aware of like the Sleepaway Camp 4 that released. Are you aware of it?
Vaguely.
Okay, so there was a movie in 1993. You can put movie in quotation marks because I don't know if this really counts as one, but it is called Sleepaway Camp for the Survivor. It is a movie that has 20 minutes of original footage, and the rest of it is composed of footage from the previous 3 movies.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you thought Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 was bad, I think this is actually pushing it, or actually around the same. Maybe about the same.
I'm curious if they like mixed all 3 of the first ones together since we had a casting change for Angela.
Well, I've seen parts of it, and yeah, they did. Because you can find parts of it, like just like snippets, like clips of it. It's basically like a person on the camp, and there's like a voiceover telling like there's a thing that happened over there, and then it'll like flash back to the scene of like the thing that happened over there.
That sounds like we were just talking about this because there was like a clip episode of Friends on, but it's very much like the clips episode.
I've also heard, since we talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, that we made, I think it was Joe, he said he was sad because we missed so much from the first movie. There's a lot apparently that goes on in the first movie that we're not aware of, so that's probably not the best way to experience that story. So maybe we'll talk about that one soon, around Christmas time. I don't know.
Maybe.
At least watch it.
Maybe.
I will watch it. I said that last year and I didn't. After the first film, Thomas Vandell, he was one of the actors in the original movie. He played the guy that Angela was interested in and that Meg was trying to get with the entire time. He ended up becoming a producer after that movie. He ended up getting the rights. I think he has the rights to this movie.
Angela and Meg? Meg was the counselor.
Okay, not Meg. Judy. Sorry, Judy.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, Paul is the other guy. No, okay, it's not Paul. It's the grown-up dude, the other dude. I think it's the guy that Ricky is actually upset with her getting attention from.
Okay, I was gonna say because the only like
I wish
boy
I remember.
that Angela was really ever kind of flirty with was Paul.
Okay, actually, scratch
Who
that.
was the
then.
Langolier.
It's not the person that Angela was with. I got that wrong. He's a very small role in the movie, but he ended up taking the rights, I think, for the movie and became a producer for this.
Okay.
He actually he's produced several movies, some that you are a fan of, and one of them was one that Paul D'Angelo wrote and directed himself also.
Aww.
The movie that he did that you're familiar with is We Summon the Darkness.
I love that movie.
Yeah, he's a producer for that, surprisingly.
Cool.
Yeah, so the rights thing, I think that's something that I think I remember seeing online myself. So, okay, here's the thing. Here's how you can get a legit copy of Return to Sleepaway Camp. He does conventions. He does reunion stuff for Sleepaway Camp. When he goes to conventions, he has copies of this movie at his table. So you can get a legit copy from the source itself right there. But I think that's the only way you can get a legit one unless you find one secondhand on like Amazon or eBay or something like that. Or you can try your luck on Etsy like we did.
Yeah.
But again, you're probably going to come across some bootlegs like we did too. So But yeah, I think that is a source of a legit copy for some people out there. I could be entirely wrong about that, but that is something that I did see a long time ago. Okay, so Mr. Van Delk seems to be very involved and was very involved in this movie back when it was being produced. And there's a whole website dedicated to it where he has a frequently asked questions section where he just gives people a bunch of information about the movie. And one of the things here was, how did you find Robert Hiltzik and talk him into coming back to Sleepaway Camp after all these years? So this is what he had to say. I was in New York meeting with Felissa. This was the weekend that I did the original Felissa Rose interview. I asked Felissa to dig out anything she could find from the production of Sleepaway that might help lead me to Robert Hiltzik and other cast members. She came across a scrapbook that various cast members wrote back in 1982 during production, and they actually used that piece of info that they found in the book to make the connection that ultimately led to Robert's phone number. So they had a long conversation. Asked him if he would be able to, or if he would be interested in doing a Sleepaway sequel, but he wanted to know if there was actually an audience for that. He had already tracked down Jonathan Tierson, who's Ricky, and Felissa, and Robert said he'd be interested as long as they actually found out if there's interest for it. So he sent him to the original website that he had created and told him about the fan feedback and everything. So he saw all that stuff and he was able to be convinced to come back to the franchise, pretty much.
That's kind of cool, actually. And that's how a lot of them got convinced to do their reunions at conventions in the first place. Because Fliss has been doing conventions for a while. And she told a lot of them, like, hey, no, you actually really, everybody loves this movie. It's become such a darling. Come to conventions. People will love it. People will want to meet you. And it was really great when the whole cast was there at Scarefest last year.
Yeah, it was
or
really
the year
cool.
before, whatever.
When we had the reunion up here, yeah, it was really neat. He was there too. So yeah, it's cool to see them all. And they're all super into the roles and everything. They all have embraced it. Hiltzik actually had a sequel written back in 1986. He didn't like the comedic tone that the producers of the movie wanted to go in with the franchise. They were looking to go with something along the lines of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because those were huge at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So Hiltzik ended up just selling off his rights to the film, and he decided to, just like him and his wife wanted to start a family. So they just left the business altogether and used whatever money they got from that to get that going. He wrote 4 different endings to this movie. Everybody got different scripts, and he only used one of them. They only filmed one of them. So he was doing that to, I guess, try and keep spoilers under wraps.
That makes sense.
Filming of the movie wrapped back in 2003. It was intended for theatrical release between 2004 and 2006, but they couldn't find any distribution. Also, another problem, which might explain why this had $4 million as the budget, they were super not satisfied with the special effects of the first edition of the movie. So Robert Hiltzik ordered them to do another round of it, and then they came back, got that one finished in December of 2006. And Hiltzik still thought that needed more work, so they ended up doing more, brought another team on, and then by 2007, they had finally gotten enough of it done to his liking. Some of the major ones that needed to be retooled were the ending scene with, I think it's, Michael's body where he was skinned.
Yeah.
They had to redo that.
Which, to be fair, the final product was pretty awesome.
It was really good. TC's death had to be redone, and they also did some pickup shots that ultimately need to be redone.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it for my fun facts that I had for this.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. Apparently, it was like a super brutal shoot from everything that I read. They had like natural disasters and everything happened. So
oh my God.
God didn't want this movie to happen.
It's an abomination.
I think, yeah. All right, so with all that said and done, I think we're ready to move on to good, bad, ugly, and absurd. So, Jesse, what's the good?
The good, I like how much of the cast returns. I like that we get Felissa back, we get Ronnie D'Angelo back, Jonathan Tierson, history's greatest cousin Ricky, still killing it out there. I think we Berenstain bared ourselves, Mandela affected ourselves, because we were convinced he was in on all of it, but he ended up being just as shocked as everyone when we rewatched it last night.
Yeah, he. If anybody wants anything interesting, I suggest looking up his Instagram because he's a strange character.
Yeah, it's an interesting scroll.
Like I send Jesse some of them whenever he like posts like a really weird one, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's strange. But yeah, I agree with that. I like Cousin Ricky. I'm glad he's back.
I mean, yeah.
That's all you have good to say? That's fine. If that's all you feel about it.
That's what I've got right now.
Okay. I for one, I thought this actually captured the feel of the first one. Like I watched this movie and I can feel it being more connected to the first movie than 2 and 3, which I thought that was actually cool. It did feel like a movie of that era, just with modern people.
Okay.
You get like the punk kids and shit like that. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There was another thing I had. There was like a lot of weird cameos for this movie, which I guess would explain some of those weird punk kids, because we have a lot of CKY members in this movie because one of them married Felissa Rose. Yeah. So you got that. One of the Margieras is in it. This one, I think only you and I will appreciate, but Mr. Chris Violet, who is in a little movie called A Christmas Crush, is one of the campers there. We have Drake.
Who is he in Christmas Crush?
Christmas Crush, the guy that gets the wish to like his neighbor.
Like, is he the one that accidentally has the wish? Or...
Yeah, he's the main guy that like has like his fiance that he ruins his own marriage or potential marriage. Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Drake Bell's another one. He's in this movie. He's one of the counselors, or not the counselors. He's a camper in this movie.
Where?
I think that makes sense considering this wrapped in 2003, and that was around the era of like Drake and Josh getting started. So he wasn't like, he was in his all that time, I think, but he wasn't like a megastar yet. And also Robert Hiltzik had his family in there. A lot of them, like I saw a lot of Hiltziks in the cast. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, like I really do feel like they recaptured the tone, the feel, the vibe of the original one. Man, I don't know. I don't think they do a bad job with this movie. It's not terrible. Like I watched it yesterday and I had thought that it was really bad, but then like I came away pleasantly surprised. Although I was kind of bummed afterwards. But we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, what's the bad then? What did you not like?
I feel like he was trying to kind of recapture the first one, and it just ended up like he was kind of overdoing some of the stuff.
Okay.
Like you said, the kids are like overly mean in this one.
Yeah, they're
intense.
I think that's the point that they're going with. They're trying to go with like bullying is bad and here's how it can go terribly. But yeah, like I watched this movie and I'm depressed. Like it actually makes me genuinely sad for this kid.
Yeah, it never lets up.
Man, yeah. That was a thing. Like we paused it a few times to do things like, you know, feed the pets and all that. And like I just stopped. Like, this is the meanest movie I've ever seen in my fucking life. And I think that's still true. I don't think I've seen a movie that is as mean as this movie is, because the things that they do to that kid, like why that is a bad that I'll agree with. Why front load? Like, why make this movie basically just a montage of bullying? And some of the most cruel bullying that you could do too.
Yeah, like we never let up from it, and we never get, like, the characters never feel nuanced.
There's no redemption. There's like he doesn't have a moment where he comes out the other side like, you know, feeling good or better or, you know, like triumphant anyway. It just ends on such a downer too. Man, it's so fucking upsetting. All right. Did you have anything else bad?
That was the main thing.
Okay. I'll agree with you about that obviously, but the trying to recapture certain things, because I feel like what he ended up doing was he ended up copying the same beats as the first movie a lot of times. A lot of the deaths mirror some of the deaths in just a lot of the plot points kind of mirror what happened in the original movie, which, you know, you can call it a homage, but to homage your own movie in the direct sequel to it it's a choice, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, whatever. All right, so I think the ugly is pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the bullying, the one that fucking kills me is the frog one. I wish that they didn't do that.
What the fuck? Yeah, why is animal cruelty funny?
Well, I don't even think that they may have. I see people refer to this as a black comedy sometimes, and like I just don't see the humor in any of the stuff that happens in this. But yeah, that was at least the only thing that makes that redeemable is the fact that Michael gets skinned later as punishment and payback.
Because he thought skinning frogs was funny.
Yeah, because he thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think that justifies doing it in the movie in the first place, because I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that. That's just, it's too much. This movie's too much sometimes. What's your absurd?
Oh, Alan having the singular outfit and his catchphrase.
Yeah, he has.
Your ass stinks.
He has one outfit change, and I think it's because the counselors forced it on him.
Yeah.
But
it's because the kids stole his clothes, but I guess they gave the pants back because he's wearing the same pants.
He has to smell like shit. I don't think he showers at all.
It has to be awful.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised his tidy whities were as white as they were.
Oh, yeah. If we were being realistic for that character, they'd be stained in all the ways.
Well, they made a comment at the beginning that he like shirted.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. They could have been bullying. The movie starts with bullying and it ends with bullying.
And there's a lot of bullying in the middle.
Yeah, and then a little bit more bullying to go on top of that.
Yeah, and there's like side plots of bullying.
And then in the after credits, there's bullying there too. My absurd is he has this place that he goes to run away from everybody, his secret hideout, he calls it. And he invites his crush to go there, and then he doesn't even know that they're coming. He goes over there and he's just hanging out with his frogs, and then she just comes up there and found it so easily. It's not a very secret hideout. He didn't even know that she was there. He just she just waltzed in.
It seems like he expected her to not show, which also makes it seem like she could have just lied and agreed to go and then never go.
She didn't have to do it. But you know what? She's a person that's true to her word, so I respect that. Okay. What do you rate it?
Oh, man. I want to like this movie more than I actually do. I think if it had like a little bit more levity and fun in it at times, it would be easier. But we just don't ever really get that. So I think I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Okay. Well, you're still above IMDb at least. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a good movie still. It's just a hard watch, I think, for me. It's one that I'm not going to revisit often because I don't like the way it makes me feel. It just makes me feel bad. And I don't, like, there are some movies where, you know, drama, feel bad, whatever. Like, you know, that's the point. I know what I'm getting. I don't go to Sleepaway Camp for the feel bads. I go to Sleepaway Camp for the schlock and the cheese and the, you know, fun kills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This movie, like, it does get fun kills towards the end of the movie, but man, it's just it's a slog through, like, to sit through all that stuff. So I think I'll give it a 6.
Okay. So 5.25.
5.25
starting average.
Okay, that's a whole point above.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's serviceable.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
So we start off, we have a musical song. Yes, that's how that works.
A musical song.
That's that phrase.
I feel like it's
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, it's got to be CKY, I would assume.
I would assume as well. But that's playing over newspaper clippings, basically recapping Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Then we cut to boys in a cabin trying to light their farts. Now, here's the thing. As we learned from the Jackass collaboration with Mythbusters, it's not as simple as holding a lighter up to your butt while you fart.
No.
They had to build a whole machine. It was a whole thing to try and get a lit fart.
And we see them in this movie, so they must have had some kind of rig around that area where they had an open flame or something.
Must have been, because there's no way that this actually happened, because it wouldn't have taken as many tries as it did to light a fart on Jackass.
These campers got to be super bored if this is what they're doing to entertain themselves, like lighting their farts.
I mean, that just seems like typical boy stuff to me.
I was a typical boy. I was at one point that age, and that never really crossed my mind. But
did you ever go to sleepaway camp though?
I went to a camp.
Was it a sleepaway camp?
It was not a sleepaway camp. I went home the same day and went back the next day. It only lasted a week. All right, so they're over there. They're having fun doing that. Alan inserts himself. He invites himself to a little fart lighting.
He comes out at first. He's like, "Why are you guys laughing at me?" They're like, "We're not laughing at you." So like already you kind of get the energy that, and we talked about this a little bit last night with Alan. It almost feels like chicken and egg situation. Like, does he have some of these behaviors as a defense mechanism, or were some of these behaviors the reason why kids are not wanting to interact with him? And I feel like they kind of built on each other. Like it's a negative feedback loop, you know?
We get some snippets of some stuff with them. We get a hint at a line from Michael and him, or from a discussion where he was like really sick at like a point of time as a kid, and apparently that has some kind of trauma, and he says that has lasting effects too. So I don't know if that has like mental effects also.
Yeah.
Like I really do. I see this guy as a tragic character. Truly, he's sad. Like I think he bullies because it's like preemptive, like self-defense, because this kid has to fight.
Travis, are you saying that hurt people hurt people?
That's the case, man. That's truly what happens here. Like I think he does. Like it's a defense mechanism. Every time this kid has to like fucking fight for his life every goddamn day in this movie.
So he wants to light his fart, and when he does, the kids say, "Talk about Hershey squirts," which is why I think it was a poop fart. Shart, as they say. And he gets upset that they're making fun of him, and so he grabs a bottle of hairspray, cologne, I don't know. He makes a torch and comes at them, and they're like, "Ah!" And then Randy comes in. How fucking old is Randy supposed to be? I thought camp counselors were generally in like their 20s.
I don't know. I don't know if you can legally say no to somebody applying when you're 40.
Yeah, I was going to say Randy is about 45.
Yeah, he's,
And he goes, "Don't worry, he'll get his." Sometimes he's British. The actor, I'm fairly certain, is always British.
Yeah.
But the character is not always British.
It might have been a choice. Who knows? Him and Randy have like a whole situation where they're constantly going at it too, and
yeah, I think it's meant to mirror like the Angela Meg relationship.
That's how it seems. Yeah, except this is more intense.
Yeah.
And he basically kicks him out of the cabin, I think, and then he says this trademark catchphrase, "Hey Randy, your ass stinks."
Like, he had to have said that one time in like 4th grade, and everybody laughed because you laugh at stuff like that in 4th grade, and he has ridden that high ever since and hasn't come up with new material.
It seems to actually be effective because everybody's genuinely like, "Oh man, he got me." Like anytime that like he says that in this movie, everybody's like, "Shit."
It's his version of like, "You've been jammed."
You just got jammed.
So his stepbrother Michael is flirting with the girl he likes, and all of the campers at his table are making fun of him. This is when Sheriff Jerry stands up to give a speech on the dangers of smoking, and the kids all suck. They just suck.
They're just making fun because he's got a voice box, and like he's just trying to be like a living example of like, "Hey, cigarettes, like do this. So if you don't want this to happen to you, don't smoke." And then the kids just make fun, and it's that's just the theme of this movie. Kids fucking suck. I can understand that's why that's the tagline.
Can I also say though, Frank kind of sucks for not getting Jerry a microphone to speak with, because I don't know how much volume control there is with those tools.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
How is he supposed to project to a cafeteria full of like
project.
100 kids?
Turn the volume up, I guess.
Like, is there a way?
Yeah, that's true. He was set up for failure there.
And he seemed too excited. He was like, "Yeah, the same shit, different day." So Randy is trying to get Alan to eat his chicken. Alan's like, no, it's going to make me throw up. To be fair, that
Dude,
chicken looks
it was
pink.
raw, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna get sick.
Raw.
Yeah, that was some nasty chicken. And yeah, they go back and forth. Randy like actually forces his face onto the plate, and then he forces his plate onto the ground, and his face onto the plate on the ground.
Yeah,
It's bullying, man. He's being a meanie. So
at what point does it go from bullying to abuse when it's like an adult versus a child?
it's abuse in this situation. But don't worry, everybody. Our true hero, Mr. Ronnie,
Yeah.
in his short shorts, as God intended.
He has matured. His shorts are at least 3 inches longer than they were in the first Sleepaway Camp.
They've got their priorities wrong if this is what they're addressing. Like, they see all of the abuse going with the counselors, but then they're like, hey, Ronnie, you need to like lengthen the shorts just like an inch, maybe.
Listen, he's a part owner now.
That's
He's got
true.
to dress professionally.
He's like, I'll be an owner, but I can still wear shorts.
You know what? That's another thing this movie was missing is a random scene of Ronnie in the background pumping some iron.
You're right. We didn't get that. I wish we did get that.
Yeah.
But at least he's still a nice dude.
Yeah.
He breaks it up, and then kind of like Angela in the first movie who didn't want to eat and got in trouble. He's like, hey, like, go back to the kitchen. They'll get you something special, and we'll smooth things over like that.
So he goes back there. Mikey's back
Mickey.
there. Mickey. See, and this fucked me up. We could have had a different name for either Michael or Mickey. We could have done it different.
Yeah.
This is confusing. He's like, you can have egg salad or tuna salad, no ice cream. And Alan grabs an ice cream bar anyway. So Mickey, being the mature, reasonable adult, throws eggs at Alan.
This dude's a fucking burnout.
And Alan, being a child, being attacked by an adult, throws pots and pans back at Mickey. Mickey throws more eggs. Oh, Alan grabs a knife.
Yeah.
By this point, everybody has heard the commotion in the cafeteria, so Frank comes running in, sees the knife being thrown, and he's like, whoa, 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 we need to not do any of this. Alan runs away with his classic line, your ass stinks, and Frank tells Michael to go find Alan.
Yeah, so Alan has ran to a secret hideaway camp, and he's got frog friends, and I like this. This at least makes him human and somewhat likable for him to have his like little group of frog friends.
It is kind of endearing where he's like, they're my friends.
Yeah.
Someday I so want to be like a crow lady, because you can become friends with the crows.
They actually befriend you?
Exchange gifts, yes.
They actually give you gifts.
Yes, but as I talked about at book club this week, I don't know the difference between birds. I know crows are black.
What kind of gift does a crow give you?
Like sticks and rocks, and like maybe sometimes it'll find like, I'm not even joking. You can look this up online. People befriend crows.
That's kind of cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Don't tell Talia you're planning on doing this, though. She's not going to be.
She would not be okay with it.
No.
Maybe this is what would change her opinion on birds.
Yeah, I don't know. She never really. She's just now warming up to Zoe, who's lived there.
Lived here for 10 years.
Yeah, she doesn't really take the change. All right, so now, yeah, they're having their conversation. I think Michael is actually trying to be somewhat nice to his brother here. He's like, look, man, like, just deal with shit. Be a fucking, like, a person. Don't, like, run away and hang out with your frog friends. Still kind of fuck you for saying that, but...
That's interesting that you said that, because I wrote, Michael is not sympathetic.
I think I'm just skewed with how shitty he becomes in this movie, but this is, like, the closest thing to sympathy I think that character's capable of.
Yeah, it ends with them, like, fighting, and Michael drops his knife.
Yeah, Alan holds a knife to him. He's like, "Look, get the fuck out of here!" And then, Michael like grabs the knife out of his hand and just storms off and keeps it.
I wish he had one Danny McBride. That's what I thought.
Nerd.
Okay, so Mickey is cleaning up in the kitchen, and by cleaning up, I mean he was making his own dinner, which is burgers and fries. I just could not motivate myself to operate a whole ass fryer for fries.
No, I think it's a little.
Sometimes that air fryer is too much for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a bit much, but if it's between that and raw ass chicken, I'm gonna do that for sure. So he's over there. He's got the fryer going, and he's getting his fries put in there. And then somebody sneaks up right behind him.
He starts wiping the side of the fryer because he's like imitating Charlie. He's like, got more grease on the fryer than in the fryer.
Yeah, we didn't mention Charlie, the chef here, is Isaac Hayes, who plays Chef on South Park, and he's dressed exactly like Chef. He's got the red shirt and the blue jeans.
I just wish he could have had one moment where he passed by the kids and said, "Hi, children."
I know. This was his final movie, apparently.
Man.
Yeah. Strobia. All right. So, anyways, this is mirroring the scene from the first one with the creepy pedophile dude getting boiling water poured all over him, except this guy, Mickey, he gets his face dumped right into boiling oil.
I will say this is one of the more like well shot scenes and how tense I feel, because like you see his hand sliding, which is why I pointed out that grease line, because it's important, because it's not clean on there. His hands are sliding around a lot, and like I'm in my head, I'm like, all it would take for me is for my thumb to dip into the fryer just a little bit, and then out of like instinct I would yank my hand back, and then all of me would fall.
I think that's exactly what happens.
That's exactly what ends up happening. Then when he gets pulled out, so he gets pulled out and his head is deep fried. His lips have disintegrated, which cool effect, but it does make the fact that his eyeballs are still intact a little bit weird.
They would have boiled.
Yeah, they're jelly.
They would have like melted or something.
That's all eyeballs are, is jelly.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't considered that. Don't tell Robert Hill it's like that. It's like, God damn it, we gotta redo it again.
All right,
Yeah.
Everybody come back.
All right, we're starting from the top. Yeah, so they're down.
Then it gets compacted in the trash.
Yeah, he gets a goose burial. If anybody wants to know what that is, I have a fantastic movie suggestion for you. It's called Deadbeat at Dawn.
Sorry, you said, let's do it from the top. My brain immediately went to Tim and Eric, Top Gun from the top, and then you said goose burial, and I was like, that is not how Goose was buried in Top Gun.
Is Goose a character in Top Gun?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's Tom Cruise's bestie, who dies because Tom Cruise is an arrogant asshole.
Wow.
But also his character is an arrogant asshole.
Huh. Wow, that's a crazy coincidence right there.
Yeah,
I'm just.
That's why I was so confused for a second.
It's not really much of a spoiler. Deadbeat at Dawn, somebody gets a trash compactor death or burial. Basically, they're just like, all right, can't do anything else with you, so they just throw you in it. It's kind of funny but sad.
Charlie and Ronnie go to visit Frank.
Yeah, they're gonna complain about Mickey. He's just not really up to snuff. So Frank's like, "Fuck it, fire him, whatever." And then this is where we learn Ronnie is actually a part owner, and
like, we also need to do something about the rats. And Frank's like, later. He goes, "It's just like it's a health concern, and now that I'm an owner," and Frank's like, "Part owner, minority share."
Oh, asshole! This dude has the same last name as the the owner of from the first one. In the movie.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's meant to be like a relative or something.
That would kind of make sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
So the burnouts, as I was calling them, I believe you were calling them the punks, but they seemed much more interested in smoking than anything.
Oh yeah, they're
weed
stoners.
And Stan.
Yeah.
They want to prank somebody into smoking dried cow shit. Apparently they do this every year. And so that's what they're doing back behind the stage in the rec area, the gym, what have you. This is
where you learn the trick. I mean, you hit it first and then I hit it. Because you don't want to smoke a shit doobie.
It's just like if you go to a meal or have a toast or something with your enemy, it's like, you drink it
you
first.
Go first. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless, they pull a Princess Bride and like have spent years developing an immunity.
Oh, yeah.
Tolerance.
Oh, man. I forgot about that. Yeah, true. Okay, so there's like a camp mixer going on at like the.
I think it might just be like a regular old night. Like I think that they can just hang out in the rec area at night.
Well, this is another one of those things that made me think of the original because the 2 and 3 never did anything like this.
I know,
which is weird, but that's like it immediately brings me back to the original Sleepaway Camp when I see this.
So Alan approaches Karen and her group of friends, and Karen's like, "Please don't leave me with him." And of course, they all leave him with him. And she tells Alan that he smells. And he goes, oh, it's because Mickey threw eggs at me. And she goes, oh, he's such a creep. You haven't changed your shirt since then. And what Alan takes away from that is, oh, you also hate Mickey.
Yeah, you hate Mickey too? Yeah. He's like, all right, we got a connection. We can bond.
Then he starts to walk away. Bella starts fighting him. And then TC starts fighting him. And then Bella and TC are fighting. It's just kind of a brawl, a melee, if you will. Frank sends Alan to his cabin.
Yeah.
But instead he goes backstage.
Yeah, where he finds the stoners who have a rolled up shit doobie right there ready to go. And they're like, hey, Alan, you like to party? And he's like, yeah. So he lights it up. He keeps toking it. Like, oh, is it, man? He's like, it's so fucking good. He's just like, I feel like if you smoked an actual piece of shit, you would probably, like, that would hurt your lungs. I don't think it'd be good for you.
Yeah, no, there's no way that it felt good at all. And the way he was coughing, maybe he did get a little bit of a buzz just from being lightheaded.
Well, yeah, I think, he might actually have a buzz. He, like, collapses to his knees coughing, and then he, like, wraps himself around, spazzes.
They did this in American Dad when Stan has to live on minimum wage for a month, and then he ends up, like, huffing the poop bag with the street person, and then we discovered that that's a real thing that kids did for a while. And like,
huffing shit.
Yeah, remember, because it was on one of the like spooky YouTube channels. Yeah,
no, that's definitely a thing. Like,
yeah. So I wonder if maybe he was getting something from it.
He could have. Yeah, he's down there, and he's coughing his fucking lungs out.
How bad does he have to smell that people aren't reacting to the smell of lit shit?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, this kid, the more this movie goes on, the more I'm like...
I will say, I am really impressed with the continuity of his shirt's filth.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I see pictures of it, and, like, by the end of it, I thought, oh, he has a cool tie-dye shirt. No, it's not tie-dye. It's eggs and paintballs.
The tie-dye kind of makes me think of... the shirt I got at a Twin Peaks concert, and it followed me into the mosh pit, and it has what I refer to as the Burl tie-dye job.
It didn't follow you. Remember, I held on to it because you went to mosh, and I dropped it accidentally, and it got stomped. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, that was my cutesy way without throwing you under the bus.
No, I deserve it. It's true. I mean, the mosh culture was kind. They're like, here's your shirt, but like, they're like, oh, sorry.
Mosh culture is kind.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem kind, but it is.
Surprisingly kind. I got my defenses up around them.
They also helped me because my Fitbit fell off that night too, and everyone was like, stop, grab a Fitbit. It was really kind. And then that was the last show we went to before COVID, and washing has never been the same.
That was the last show I think Twin Peaks played too.
Twin Peaks was never the same.
Yep. All right, so people, TC, who is 100% got to be a callback to TC from Sleepaway Camp 2.
The battery to my car.
He walks in and he sees what appears to be Alan giving Spaz a blowjob. So they come up with the most... Stan, okay. They come up with the most clever nickname ever, blowjob.
That seems correct for like 13-year-old boys.
Yeah, see, Alan, he does the thing that you're not supposed to do here, and he makes it very clear that it's getting to him, because he's just like, stop it, stop calling me that. He like gets really freaked out about it, and that's just going to make them continue to do it. And
that's when Petey walks in, and she breaks up what's happening, and as Ronnie walks in, he tells everybody that they need to get to their bunks.
Man, I feel bad for Ronnie. This is probably the worst group of kids he's ever had to deal with his entire life.
They all suck.
They really do. There's not a single good kid in this entire batch.
And he's like more invested than ever since he literally invested in the camp.
Yeah, he's like literally invested. So later that night, it's around 2 a.m. Stoners are out there just toking. They have two other gals there with them, but they're like, hey, we're getting out of here. Oh, Sue and Edie. Okay.
I somehow managed to get their names.
Yeah, so they bounce.
Stan also leaves.
Yeah.
Weed, which I was writing Reed because I was really hoping they didn't just name this kid Weed. I understand it's probably a nickname, but
oh yeah,
it's again, it's all the creativity of blowjob.
Yeah.
Which none of these kids is good at bullying, and I talk about that a lot. Like, if you're gonna be a bully, at least have some.
I don't know, man. I think some of the things they do later, like, it's not like good bullying, but it's effective.
So he is like stoned out of his fucking gourd, and he gets tied up to the chair and force fed some gasoline, which I feel like would have a very immediate negative effect. And then he is gagged with a dare sticker, which was a funny little.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then there's a hole right in the mouth, and a joint gets put in there, and when the joint's lit, he
explodes.
Yeah.
Like, actually, his insides come outside of him.
The whole camp basically comes out and sees it. Stan is distraught, absolutely torn up, and this is the last we see of Stan.
Yeah, and Ronnie is now like, all right, I fucking know it. I know who did it. It's Angela, and Frank is trying to calm him because he's telling this to the cop.
Yeah, Frank also sucks because he's like, oh, Angela, you mean him?
Yeah, this is another one of those things of this movie. Like, they get really fixated on the gender of this person where it's really not even a thing worth worrying about.
It's like any Facebook comment section.
Yeah.
It's ugh. So Ronnie suggests that the cop go talk to Ricky. That's Angela's cousin. Alan ruins sports the next day.
Yeah.
He's walking through like the middle of games, taking equipment, and then he walks into the middle of a croquet match, and he tells the cabin full of girls, like, I'm not gonna leave until Karen agrees to come to my secret spot with me. And she's like, only if I can bring a friend. And he goes, which friend? And she goes, Marie. He goes, I like Marie. Yeah, she can come too.
Her friends kind of like bullied her into doing it. They're like, all right, just fucking do it, Karen. Like,
she
just
didn't
like,
want
this is
to.
like this. It's a bummer.
So he then arrives late to paintball, and he basically puts no gear on. He's got abs.
He's trying to, but they take his gear and throw it away.
Yes, but he goes to pick it up, and he leaves everything except for the face mask, which he then just wears around his neck.
Yeah, come on, kid. You know what's gonna happen here. Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, and exactly what you think happens. He goes out there, and everybody turns on him and shoots him.
Yeah, he sees the enemy team, and like they start firing, and he runs back to his own team. He's like, guys are over there, and then they just start firing at him. And this is another one of those extremely sad scenes where they have him completely circled. He's just down on the ground in the fetal position, and they are just lighting him up with fucking paintballs until they run out. It's an upsetting shot.
Yeah,
I hate it.
So cousin Ricky gets a visit from Sheriff Jerry, and Sheriff Jerry says, now your cousin Angela is still locked up in the sanitarium, right? He goes, yeah. And he goes, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm the only one that goes to visit her, and I was just there a couple weeks ago. And then Sheriff Jerry goes, you mean him? And then cousin Ricky looks like he's about to beat Sheriff Jerry.
Yeah, he tells him to fuck off pretty much and gets back on his fucking construction machine. Don't know what he's on.
I believe that little YouTube fellow that our nephew likes would say it's an excavator.
Ah, man, what is his name?
Hey, dirt, see you later. Blippi.
The today's Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
So we are now with Alan, who is in a secret hideaway. He's playing with his frogs. Mm-hmm. And what do you know? We have Karen and Marie who have arrived, and he's super shocked about it.
And he's like, I got soda. You want soda? I got some chips. You want chips? And they're like, there's a lot of frogs here. He goes, yeah, they're my friends. And then I see some skin.
Oh, God. Yeah, I want to just like cruise past this as fast as possible. So, yeah.
And it's really like, so Karen and Marie rightfully are like, oh, we're getting the fuck out of here. What is this? And Alan is crying. I feel like his reaction makes it very clear he did not do this.
Yeah, but these kids don't give a fuck, man. And then Vinny and Michael pop out with a knife, and they're laughing. They're like, yeah, it's cool. We did it because it's cool. It's funny. And then Alan fucking snaps. And he's like, oh my God, Karen, I got to go tell her. So he like goes chasing after her, and he's trying to tell her that it wasn't him. It was Michael that did it. But he gets down to the pier where everybody's swimming, and then he's just on probably the worst day of this kid's life, where he just witnessed that. He goes down there, and the counselor down there, Randy, picks a fight with him. And then he orders the kids there to give him a wedgie, and then they end up giving him a wedgie and throwing him in the water.
State-sanctioned bullying.
It's like, God damn, it's so fucking much. It never stops.
Petey helps him out and then tells Ronnie that, like, yeah, this is going to keep happening unless you actually fucking do something. We cut to Frank, who talks to his bird Matilda and learns that Matilda has learned to say, "Your ass stinks."
Yeah.
And he's pissed.
Yeah, he thinks Alan's been in his place, so he goes running off to get him.
Bella is shooting spitballs at Alan, but Alan is also bullying some of the smaller kids in line. He chews on one girl's pigtails.
Yeah, this is one where I'm like, come on, Alan. Oh my God, we have cats out there ready for food.
That was loud.
Yeah, he's not helping himself in the situation. So yeah, he's getting spitballs at him. He goes over there and confronts Bella for doing the spitballs.
They start fighting, and then Frank comes in, and I was like, "What did you do? Why did you teach Matilda to say that?" And he goes, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." And Bella, creative bullying, goes, "What are you talking about, Alan? You were just in here bragging about it."
Oh my God, yeah. So
I'm not condoning bullying. I'm just saying, like, it's nice for it not all to be like, "Hey, poop head."
That's true. So before this, we had the Karen and TC and a couple of other kids outside. They're like, "Come on, you gotta like convince Alan to do this. Just tell him, you want to hang out, whatever. It'll be funny." And she's really worried. She's like, "I think he might kill me if I do this."
Yeah, he is like one bad day away. And he's
So
already had half of a really bad day.
yeah, and he is now leaving the mess hall, and he's walking past her, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know, like me and a couple of the girls are gonna play spin the bottle. We'd like you to join." And this kid should know better at this point, but he just agrees and goes along with it. So
He is so trusting, and he should not be.
No.
He needs to go back to that energy he had at the beginning of the movie. Like, "Are you laughing at me?"
He should, yeah. He should be skeptical for sure. He's led to a dark room, and he goes there, and Karen's like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." And then while he's there alone, he's being grabbed, and we don't know what's happening, but we see he's on the stage behind the curtain, and the whole hall gathers, and the lights turn out, the spotlight's thrown on there, the curtain's pulled, and it's Alan. He's tied up with no clothes but his underwear on, and he's just pushed out there for everybody to see and laugh at. And finally, Ronnie
like,
steps in.
"I want to know who was responsible for this." He tells Randy to figure out, because he figures it has to come from his cabin. And Randy goes, "It's my night off. Sir?
You're 40.
Sir? Why are you hanging in the rec hall on your night off?"
I'm a man. I'm 40.
So Ronnie cancels his night off, but that means dick to Randy.
Yeah.
So Ronnie accuses Petey of being Angela. Peter. And like he's getting really aggressive with her. And then Sheriff Jerry comes in and stops. And Frank sends Petey to her cabin. And it's just like kind of trying to talk Ronnie off a ledge. And then they go outside, and all of the other campers are outside behind trees shouting, "Blow drop, blow drop, blow drop."
Fuck these fucking kids.
So Alan goes running off.
Yeah, and this is like his defining snap moment, because he goes up there, yells, and you just see he like a calm washes over him, and then he just looks around and he just like sprints to the woods.
So Ronnie goes to look for him. In Frank's cabin, we see Matilda is grabbed. Frank hears the sound, so he comes out, and he's bonked on the head. When he comes to, they put the cage on his head and add in some rats.
That right there, I feel like that was like giving it like, is Ronnie the killer vibe right there, because he was complaining about the rats earlier.
So Karen is feeling partially guilty, but mostly worried that she's like on a hit list for this.
Yeah.
And
the rest of the girls in the cabin are like, "Look, we don't care. Like, we want to go back to the canteen." So they convinced her to go back to the canteen with them.
TC is convinced to go on a panty raid. I hate the word panty. And he's like, "I don't know, guys. Like, Ronnie said he's going to check on me every 15 minutes. And like, has he yet?" And he's like, "No." So he starts to get up and go. And as soon as he steps outside, Ronnie's like, "TC!"
Yeah, I love that. I love that he immediately got it.
So Randy, and Linda are at the pump house.
Yeah, Randy keeps doing this fucking stupid little gesture where he's like, "It's the pump house," and he's like, "Cause fuck."
And if you think Randy sounds like the type of guy who wears tight pants and a menarded button-up, you are 5,000% correct.
Yeah, you'd be correct.
With a shirt that looks like maybe he got it at Dan Flash's on sale.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, Linda, go get the beers up there."
And the sleeping bag.
And the sleeping bag.
And she's like, "Why don't you?" And he's like, "Because I got to take a leak and I'm shy."
Yeah, so she goes, and he is leaning up against a tree, and then there is somebody behind there.
He's peeing the wrong way, leaning up against the tree.
He is, yeah. You know,
You're supposed to pee on the tree.
maybe that's like a British thing. They do it different over there.
Yeah, like they drive on the right side of the road
They
or
pee,
left side of the road.
Yeah, they pee on the other side of the tree. They don't pee on the tree. That's disrespectful. Yeah, he gets tied to the tree.
Yeah.
And we see this like little like wire that has like a hoop on it or a loop, and it's the perfect size for a pee-pee. And it goes around the dick and balls, or just the dick. He says that's my jewels there. I think it grazed the balls. I think they got the balls in there.
It doesn't count if the balls aren't involved in some way.
Yeah. Ew. And he's like he's really uncomfortable, obviously. And you see the wire is being stretched out, and it's like going through the woods.
And then we see that it's like tied to the bottom of his Jeep. And Linda is trying to get the stuff from the Jeep. And as she's walking back to the woods, she's like, "Oh my God, he's after me!"
Yeah, and he thinks it's Alan because he's apologizing profusely at Alan, which, you know what, man? I think he had this one coming.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have no sympathy for this guy who was in his dick.
So Linda goes running and she slams on the car, and it takes her a minute 'cause she gets caught in a ditch, and then she remembers to shift
fucking
gears.
Sucks at driving. She doesn't just like fuck up the gears bad. She just runs right into a fucking hill and gets stuck in the mud out there. And then eventually she's like, "Oh, 4-wheel drive." She switches that on and floors it, and then this just yanks the shit off of Randy.
And then she's driving and not paying close enough attention. Plus, it's also dark, and she hits some barbed wire.
Oh yeah,
at face height.
Wraps right around her head.
So TC is in the cabin. He's looking through a magazine, and then like a sharpened broom handle comes up and is like poking at him. So he freaks out and does what you shouldn't do, which is stick your eye to the hole in the floor.
Yeah, and his friend that did the panty raid comes in. He's like, "Dude, look at our score." And he's like, "No, dude, look, there's a hole in there, and there was a broom down there." And they just keep taking turns looking in the hole.
And you just know one of them's gonna get it.
Yeah, it was the right one. It's TC. He gets one right through the eye.
And then he like freaks out, stands up, and then ends up running into the wall, which pushes it all the rest of the way through.
Yep.
So Ronnie is by Frank's cabin, and he finds Matilda outside saying, "Your ass stinks." And then he comes inside and finds Frank dead. Bella comes back from the canteen alone and fucking litters. Fuck you, Bella.
Yeah, Bella's a little shit. They're all little shits, but, you know, that was shitty.
She comes in, she finds all of her stuff has been, like, thrown asunder.
It's her candy. She's got a candy sash. She's like, "God damn it, they fucking take my shit."
It's such a big candy stash. Why did she need to go to the canteen? You are the canteen, Bella.
I think she's sneaking them back to her candy stash. She's pissed, but she's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go chill on my bunk bed." And she gets in her bunk and then looks up, and there's spikes on the top bunk. And then we see the camera pan up, and the killer is standing up in the rafters up top.
And
Jumps right. That's a good kill.
it's a reverse bed of nails.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So everyone is sent to their cabins early because they found TC dead. Karen and Marie get to their cabin and find Bella, and Karen just like loses her mind, so she runs out.
She's blaming Alan.
Marie tells Ronnie that Karen ran out, and so Michael overhears that. He's like, "We gotta go find her." And then Ronnie is like, "It's Angela," and Marie's like, "No, it's Alan."
And then Ricky shows up.
Yeah. When Ricky's here, he says he's got a call. He got a call from Sheriff Jerry, and Sheriff Jerry's like, "I never called you."
Yeah, and he's like, "All right, somebody wants you here, obviously."
Duh.
Yeah.
Sheriff Jerry. So Karen finds Randy and Linda, who are both semi-conscious somehow, haven't bled out yet.
Yeah.
And then she ends up running straight into the killer and passes out.
Yeah, killer grabs Karen, and we see she's tied up in the gym when she's woken up, and she's tied to the basketball goal. and the killer goes and flips the switch, which gets the basketball goal to like fold up into the ceiling, which is gonna hang her because she's got a noose tied around her neck. But Michael comes in at the last second and stops and frees her.
I will say, I've had the key to lift one of these before in a previous job, and it's not like, maybe in the 80s it was different because maybe it was not as secure safety measures.
To be
but
fair,
like,
it's the 2000s here.
That's true. I'm still in the mindset of the first Sleepaway Camp. But like, you have to hold the key, and it's a tiny little key, so it's not easy to hold, and it hurts your hand, and it takes forever, and like,
You have to hold it the entire time?
yes.
That's dumb.
And it's a lot of like pressure that you have to put on it.
That's weird. Why would they make that so hard?
I assume a safety feature. But yeah. So the fact that the killer was like holding it steady until somebody came in is already kind of impressive.
Yeah, and the cop is there too, comes in, and that a little suspicious.
So Michael grabs him out and says, I'm gonna go take care of Ellen. And he finds him at his frog spot and starts beating
Dude, oh my god, I forgot about this. Yeah.
You can see it bending on his back, and you can also hear the
You can hear the air escape it. I forgot about that. Man, I can't believe he didn't have them redo that scene of all of them. That actually...
It's like nobody will notice. But I guess because we have a dog who kills the squeakers in her toys immediately, we are so finely attuned to the
Dude, you're
sound.
Right. That right there, I think that was one of those things. It took the wind. This is a super mean scene, but it took the wind out of it because of that. I wish that we would have had something like that in this movie for all the other scenes where it's like something so obviously fake or bad that like, okay, I can watch this and not feel depressed.
So Ronnie finds Alan like half dead, and he was like, it was Michael, and he points over to where Michael is, and then Sheriff Jerry walks out and says, kids can be so mean, and then starts taking off the facial prosthetics, and wouldn't you know, it's Angela.
Felissa Rose this time.
And we see Michael has been skinned very efficiently.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Like eyelids and all.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, and then it just ends there. Like, I mean, like he's skinned, and they're just kind of there, and they're just...
And we do get a Felissa Rose face.
Yeah, and you get Ricky. He just goes, Angela. It's
and
so
we get Ronnie's. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just like the ending to the first one.
I was gonna say, I think that's what they were going for. They were going for a big shock ending right there.
Then we cut to an end credit scene where we see a car is pulled over on the side of the road up on a jack. A cop comes to help. And the woman, who is very like Peggy Bundy coded in the moment, could just be the Jersey in her also.
This is Jersey exploitation.
And the cop like gets down there and says, you're gonna need like a new brake line. This one's leaking, and it's Angela, of course, and she kicks out the jack and busts the cop's head.
Yeah, I think our DVD ends too soon because it cuts like right as soon as Angela goes, it's just like, I feel like there's, if I remember, I feel like we've seen this before. Like, she gets his uniform, and you remember Ricky being a part of it too.
I swear I remember Ricky being a part of it. So the first time we watched this, we actually rented it from Hastings.
Oh, yeah.
So... Granted, that was obviously a while ago since I'm referencing Hastings, but...
I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look up because...
When I looked it up on IMDb, it didn't say anything beyond what we saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me go to Wikipedia here. She murders him by dropping car on his head and steals his clothes to become the new sheriff. Okay, yeah. So I guess Ricky isn't involved.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so yeah, that's how the movie ends.
All right. I'm going to keep it a 4.5 because honestly, like, if it had more fun moments, like, I would be all for this. But it's so mean and heavy the entire time that it's rough.
Yeah, I agree. I think they needed to sprinkle some of the killings. The killings are backloaded. And they needed to, like, sprinkle it more. Like, we needed to see these kids, like, do something mean and then get their shit.
Yeah,
'Cause we get a
kinda
little
like
bit
what
of that.
happened in the first one.
Well, yeah, we get a little bit of that with this one with Mickey, and then you get the stoner kid. But then everybody else just continues to be fucking assholes throughout.
Yeah.
And it's just like getting progressively worse and worse. Yeah, I think that it would have been better to do that. I'm keeping mine at 6, though.
Okay.
I agree. This is a hard watch.
Talia was very active during this movie. She was very playful. She was wanting to play with us. She was trying to do her barking game with us. She was feeling it.
Yeah.
I think she sensed how mean it was, and she was like, I would never be that mean. I mean.
She can be tough, but she's not mean.
Yeah. So I think Talia, ooh.
I think she'd give it a 5.
Yeah.
Because she's not mean, and she doesn't like the mean.
Yeah. She recognized that she had to make some of the fun for us.
Yeah.
Who is Zoe's ultimate warrior?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I think Ronnie, because Ronnie wants Frank to get the rats and Zoe gets the mice around here. Not real mice, her toy mice.
Yeah.
And she respects that, and she figured that, her and Ronnie would be good friends.
She probably thought that Frank was the killer's favorite person. Like, oh, the killer is giving Frank all of the meat.
I know, that's like the highest honor.
Okay. So Ronnie the rat.
Ronnie the rat, yeah.
Okay, dream sequel.
Oh boy. I mean, there's a chance there's another one could be made. Apparently, like on the website they said would a 5 or 6 happen, and the dude's like, it's up to you if there's interest.
I mean, there's interest, baby. There is interest. We definitely need Felissa Rose back. She's active. She's working. She's
doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, she will be on board.
And we need her to get Jonathan Tiersten on board.
Yeah, he's the last link, I think. She's got everybody else from the original doing the cons. So I think if we get the next one, we could get Judy back because she's back doing that stuff. You could get
Judy died,
Meg. Oh, yeah, you're right. All right, Meg died too. All right, well, Ronnie, you can get Paul.
Yeah.
Paul didn't die, I don't think.
No, yeah, he did. His very, very
Holding his head at the end.
definitely dead.
God damn it. Angela killed all the good people. Who else could you bring back from the
It's
original?
fine. Let's just work on the story and then we'll figure out the rest.
Okay. Well, it's got to be another camp situation, so it's got to be a time jump. So
I think it would be.
let's bring it modern day. Let's bring it to the 2020s.
I would really love it if we did. You know how like in 21 Jump Street, Channing Tatum, like when they go back to school, he's like, all right, you got to be a real asshole to be cool. I would love it if Angela and then all the cool kids are actually like really open-minded, really kind and everything. I would love it if Angela like came back and she keeps getting into situations where she thinks bullying is happening. But it like then some other kid steps up and is like, hey, that's not cool for XYZ reason.
Oh man.
And then she finds like secret cyberbullying or something happening.
That's the thing. I think it's either got to be cyberbullying. Like I think that I was thinking like you could turn it more into like a comedic type thing. Like she goes there and she's like really looking forward to like killing bullies, but nobody's being bullied because everybody is like avoiding like actual human connection. Yeah. So she's like manufacturing ways to like manufacturing reasons to kill these people. Like, all right, that's bullying, and it's like the lightest thing. Like accidentally like shoulder checking a kid when they're like walking and texting at the same time.
Or maybe she like does like an AI deep fake of like some of the kids to like create bullying situations.
That's a good one, but the kids would be wise about it. Oh, it's got 6 fingers.
There are some, unfortunately, that are getting better. Yeah,
well, it's true, but the adults are the ones that get fooled by that. But that would actually track for her character. She's like, look, it's so real. It's totally him.
I think it could be fun. There's potential there.
I think that's true. Yeah, I like that idea. I think it'd be fun.
What's up? What's good?
We'll tell
Felissa in October.
Yeah.
She'll be there. Be like, listen, we got ideas.
We got treatment. Okay.
All right.
Tagline.
Your ass stinks, but it doesn't have to.
But it should. Yeah, but it doesn't have to. I like that actually. But
it sounds very like the more you know.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can rock that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I guess it's time for reviews.
Okay, let's hear it.
Most people probably haven't actually seen this movie. If you know, yeah, I think it's just so I did in advance poll 2 just to
get a couple.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to make sure that we had some. So I'll start off with negative. It's 4 out of 10. Viewed in April 2012. This one was one I was really looking forward to seeing. It felt like it took years for it to be made and released, so when it was available to purchase, I bought it at full price, not knowing what a disappointment it would be.
Oh, no.
The plot follows the basic kids are at a camp when a bunch of murders occur storyline. Fans of the original know the backstory of Angela, so I won't go into that, but if you don't, it's probably a good idea to familiarize with the film. The sequel does something I hate, which is it completely ignores Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. We are supposed to forget those late 80s sequels which involved Angela escaping and becoming a counselor killing a bunch of teenagers. By not bringing up the incidents that took place in these movies left me a little confused, but I'll move on from that negative. The next problem I have with this is the lead character, Alan. What an annoying human being. He bullies other kids and then whines like a baby when he gets bullied or other camp counselors tell him to stop. The constant whining, screaming, and cursing was driving me nuts by the 20-minute mark. Now, I love the fact that Ricky in the original cussed like no other, but it's way overdone in this by Alan. And the acting by pretty much everyone involved is some of the worst I've seen since Troll 2. What I found in this movie after seeing the original was that a lot of these new characters emulated characters from the original. There's Alan, who is supposed to be a mix of Angela and Ricky, a character named PP, I know, right? Acts a lot like a shy Angela. There's even a nasty chef who gets scalded by boiling water.
That is grease, my man. That is not boiling water.
I'm also wondering if they got PD confused with PP.
No, there is a character, if you go through the list, that's called PP.
I think I remember her. She's the one that's sitting on her bed, like reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other cons are the music, which is mostly terrible and adds no suspenseful effect to the scene like the original score did. And the juvenile writing is just annoying to sit through. Some of the things the teens say and do is supposed to be funny, but just leaves a bad taste in the viewer's mouth, especially when the same joke is repeated over and over again. I've been down on Return to Sleepaway Camp so far, and rightfully so. It isn't very good, but the ending definitely saves it from being a total letdown. The last half hour is jam-packed with murder and mayhem, and some of the gore is pretty shocking and well done. Also, I like the added mystery of trying to find out who the killer is. And I love seeing some of the original cast return, like Ricky, Ronnie, and cameo by Felissa Rose. Overall, this movie is all over the place. It's almost as if Return to Sleepaway Camp has an identity crisis. The first Sleepaway Camp was scary, 2 and 3 funny. This one tries to be a bit of both, except for a good 30 minutes of scares doesn't do well at either.
It's not a cameo by Felissa Rose. Like, she is in the prosthetic makeup as Sheriff Cherry.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's in the movie throughout the entire time. Yeah.
Put some respect on her name. She is a workhorse, man.
They did a good job with her, too. I never would have guessed it until I saw that.
No, I remember being surprised.
I did, too.
I didn't have any context for the first Sleepaway Camp when we watched this, but I do still remember being surprised.
You'd never seen the first one?
No, I saw them all out of order.
Oh, wow.
Remember, the first one I saw was Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yeah, I just thought, so I guess that's got to be the truth for me too, because I've watched this whole series along with you.
Yeah.
So I watched this first and then, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, weird. Okay. Yeah. But you know, this person has some good points, I guess.
Some good points, but also like,
yeah.
Some of them, like, listen, there's a lot to harp on in this movie, don't get me wrong, but it does feel like nitpicks at some points.
Yeah, I just I don't think this movie has any comedy to it.
No. Personally,
I don't see that at all. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I get the scares. It's not exactly a scary movie either, but it does some good killing, at least in the final bit. I agree with that part right there.
Yeah, it would be nice if it spread it out more, like in the first one.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on over to a positive.
Yes, I would love to hear from somebody who adores this movie.
So it's a 9 out of 10. Reviewed in 2011. This movie is brilliant. When I first watched it, I thought it actually was an 80s movie because it looked and it's exactly like that.
All right, so I'm not weird for forgetting it was 2003.
Yeah. I had to double and triple check that this was 2008. I was really surprised when I came here and saw a relatively low rating and bad reviews. Okay, I don't mind if a person gives it a 5. I can see why some people mightn't like it that much. But who on earth is giving it lower than 5s? Jesse.
Oh no! I'm
it's-
called out.
It's hard to believe that. They don't seem like fans of the original if that's their attitude, as this is very close to the original in a lot of ways and better than it in some. I have to admit, I hated the fart scene at the beginning of the movie as well as many others. I also thought there were too many shots of boys in states of undress, and the whole thing is quite campy. I totally get that the fat kid with the frogs is very weird and makes things a bit uncomfortable and outrageous at times. It's called originality. It's called being different. It's viewing something new that you didn't see tons of times before. The fat kid is like a monstrosity, like some weird fuck, which is what horror movies are all about. Dude, you're kind of...
You're a bully.
Dude, we're getting bullying in the reviews even. That's fucked up. I think that as the movie wore on, the fat kid scenes got better.
You know this man watched Hunchback of Notre Dame and sided with the creepy
Yo, look at
religious
this fucking guy with the back. Look at that back. How are you gonna have a back? His fucking back. It's weird. It's a monstrosity. I love it. Again, if this is all not your cup of tea, fine, but it's certainly not a bad movie, whatever way you look at it. The death scenes were amazing. I don't think anyone will have qualms about these. One of them dragged a little. That's it. The characters weren't overly mean to each other. Oh, fuck off. Sure, sure things got very heated at times. This is how the world works sometimes. And children can be very cruel to each other.
Was this reviewer Michael?
I think it
Is
might
this
have
reviewer Michael?
been. Look, some of us might not have skin, you know.
But monstrosities can be funny,
Yeah,
right?
they can be funny. It can
Right?
be new, novel.
I was hot when I had skin.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, that's why I don't like boys in various states of undress.
Yeah,
This is a various state of undress.
even if it's pushing credibility at times, I was able to believe in all of the characters' actions in the movie. This is how horror movies work best. The music and atmosphere created are top notch. Maybe the plot could have been done a bit better, with more comprehensive explanations for things, and better mysteries surrounding who was doing things. I can certainly see how the movie might have had more potential, but for some reason the movie really just lured me into it in a way that's hard to explain. Maybe it's just the mood I was in, but it really got my imagination flying and had me in a lot of suspense about what was going to happen next.
I'm glad this guy had a good time with it. Some real hot takes there. I think maybe he had a good time because he's a bully.
I think so too. It's like, oh man, this is cool.
He's like, this is really cool the way they make fun of the fat kid.
this guy is like, man, I fucking miss high school.
You better hope Angela Baker doesn't read that review, dude.
Yeah, you're dead. Maybe, I mean, that was 2011.
11, yeah.
It could be dead already. That was a while back. All right, we need to start wrapping this thing up because it's getting crazy out
the
there.
Animals are losing their minds. So that's the end of Return to Sleepaway. Oh, who did you relate to?
Oh God, we didn't do that.
We
God,
didn't do
who
that.
did I fucking relate to in this movie? I relate to Ronnie because I would try and be a mediator here and like get everybody to chill the fuck out.
I related to the girl who just read her book and tried to stay out of any kind of trouble.
All right, so we're good people. That's good to know.
Okay, so that's it for Return to Sleepaway Camp. Next week we're going to talk about Raw.
Yeah.
French film. Vegetarian goes to vet school and becomes a non-vegetarian. I'm excited for it. I've been wanting to cover it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Me too. All right, y'all can hear this shit, I'm sure. We got a fucking argument going out there erupting between the cats.
We already talked about our Patreon and where to find it, but we want to shout out our bubbies over there. We've got Joe,
Freakatron.
as is his name, Amber, Michael, Lord Zombie, Tyler, Chad, Johnny, and Jason.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being patrons. We appreciate your all's donation to the Trevor Project for this month. Oh my God, guys, chill the fuck out. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. So thanks everybody for being here. Go check our socials. It's in the shit at the bottom of this episode. You know where to find it. You know where to find us. We love you guys. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Did you put the gate up for Talia?
I closed the bedroom door.
Okay, thanks.